Welcome, critters. I'm Clara Jones, your devoted host of the Sacred Reading CR podcast, where we discuss and examine Critical Role episodes, plot lines, characters, and players through the lens of sacred reading practices. This particular episode is about Campaign 1, Episode 32, Part 1, and joining me today is Atlas.
Hey.
We are just trying to make things work today, but I did prepare an icebreaker ahead of time, so good job, me. And it's just simple. What is one thing you're looking forward to this summer?
I am going to a live show of one of my favorite podcasts, and I am very excited about it.
Awesome.
And I think I'm going to turn it into a whole week-long thing where I don't have to go to work. So that
Yes,
sounds great
love
to
to
me.
see it.
Yeah.
Is that early summer, late summer?
Mid-July, so right smack dab in the middle.
All right, all right.
Yeah.
Well, I hope it goes well.
Me too. I think it'll be fun. And I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we all need a break, right? A week off.
Mhm. Yep, exactly.
I'm looking forward to reading again.
Nice.
I have been so busy that I have been unable to read a book. Like I've been listening to an audiobook, but it's a 10-hour book and I can only listen to maybe 20 minutes a day. And
Mm,
so it's going very, very, very slowly at the moment. And
yeah.
I'm the kind of reader that if I'm in the zone, I can finish off like 2 to 4 books a week. That's my reading speed normally. And so I've been missing my books. I have not been able to read lately. So I have my hold list at the library just waiting for me.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a binge reader. I like to read things in one sitting if I can.
Hmm.
So I don't know how the 20 minutes a day would work for me. I
Yeah,
probably just wouldn't.
it's literally while I'm eating lunch, and it's not enough. Like I just get such because audiobooks aren't really my jam anyway because they
Mm,
talk slower than I read typically.
yeah.
And so I've been trying it out. People love audiobooks. I consider that reading as well, but I prefer the physical, actual, let me smell the paper books.
Fair enough. My go-to has been audiobooks because I can turn them on during my hour and a half long commute.
Oh,
But, that's a measure of necessity more than anything. I would
yeah,
much rather have the paper copy too.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So, books, I'm coming for you one of these days. One of these days. So
Soon.
please join us as we embark on this exciting adventure in story analysis and self-reflection in order to deepen our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. As always, we love hearing your own insights and stories as well. So please comment, like, subscribe below, and ready? All right, let's dive in. So, as this episode opens, Vox Machina is running through the muddy streets of Whitestone after semi-unintentionally starting a grassroots rebellion against Lord and Lady Briarwood, the two individuals who killed Percy's family and took over their town, as they run a seemingly endless army of skeleton soldiers, give chase. Love to see it. But suddenly, ahead of them, a voice shouts out, "There! Run! Aid them!" And a group of armored civilians appear with Keeper Yenin, who is also wearing armor, holding a shield, and a holy symbol of Arathis. Keyleth is unwilling to leave the civilians to fight the undead horde on their own, and she breaks out of Vax's grasp, running back towards the skeletons. So Vex, Percy, and Trinket also turn around and follow, with Vex on the back of Trinket. Keyleth drops her Call Lightning spell that she had cast previously and begins conjuring a flaming sphere. Trinket charges up next to her. Vex pulls out an arrow and casts Conjure Barrage. The front row of skeletons is completely disintegrated, and the row behind them is riddled with splinters. Keyleth then raises a wall of stone underneath herself, lifting her 10 feet into the air and blocking off the entire street. The skeletons run into the wall and begin scraping up it with swords and shields. Still running for the tree line, Scanlan realizes that no one else is with him and turns around to rejoin the others. Percy and Vax climb up onto the wall as some of the skeletons also climb up on each other to get to the top. Percy pulls out his pepper box and prepares to shoot anything that gets too close. He looks around for any of the undead giants, but has difficulty seeing. So Scanlan shouts to Grog to throw him to the top of the wall, and Vax turns back to the civilians as Keeper Yenin shouts, "Fire won't help, but I can, and so can she." And he looks over his shoulder, the villagers part, and from behind them, a small armored humanoid runs up, glowing with radiant energy, and it is Pike in the form of an avatar of Sarenrae. The group's tiny gnome cleric charges forward, and Vax helps Percy lean down from the wall, and they pull her up and also Keeper Yenin to the top of the wall. Vox Machina excitedly greets Pike, and Keyleth worries that Pike has died, but the cleric assures them that she's just fine. Vax asks how she got there, and she says that there's really no time to explain, you just got to accept it. And as the horde of skeletons swarm the wall, Percy takes a shot at one of them as it reaches for his leg and explodes it. Another one immediately takes its place, though, and he shouts, "Whatever you're going to do it," as his second and third shot destroys it. The horde pushes forward, swelling up and reaching to the top of the wall. Keyleth sends her flaming sphere again, incinerating some, and Vex gets to the top of the wall with help from Trinket. She fires a lightning arrow into another cluster of skeletons, destroying all of them within a 10-foot radius, and about 65 or so of them remain. So Grog tells Scanlan go get her as he throws the gnome up on the wall. And Scanlan says, "Hi, baby. It's been so long. Man, you look good. Oh, man, I'm distracted by your beauty. Let's kick some ass together, shall we?" And Pike says, "Yes, let's kick some ass." Pike makes a daring leap off the wall, her angelic wings shooting from her back for a split second, and she lands deep into the horde. She disappears, and the skeletons reach for her, but she casts Destroy Undead, and the shockwave destroys 36 of them as the remaining rush toward her. Scanlan, thoroughly impressed, jumps toward her, but fails. Seeing Pike in danger, he casts Lightning Bolt through his crotch in an attempt to impress her, and the spell barely misses Pike but slams into a row of skeletons. On the other side of the wall, skeletons also converge on the party but are being repelled by Yenin's group, and he shouts to the party, "You, don't worry, we've got this. You do what you must. It has begun. Finish it." With that, he jumps into the fray, shield and holy symbol at arm. As the rest converge on Pike, Vax jumps off the wall as well, and the three of the skeletons swipe at Pike unsuccessfully, though, and Vax decks one of the skeletons with his right fist, which has a symbol of Sarenrae, so sewn into the glove, but he is also unsuccessful because he does not have any strength. Grog leaps up onto the wall and uses it as a stepping stone to jump off, smashing the three nearest skeletons with his flaming warhammer. Grog then licks the hammer off, his tongue burning due to its hot surface. But over time, the rest of the group picks off the remaining skeletons on their side. Vax does see one of the undead giants, though, slamming its fist into something on the other side of the town square, as well as a second giant to the south, so he urges the party to go finish off the giants while they have Pike on their side. Percy calls out to Keeper Yenin, asking if he can hold the attack until morning. The older cleric also casts Destroy Undead with his skeletons and disintegrates them, and he looks over his shoulder and says, "Till morning? Why wait till morning? We're fighting now." Vox Machina splits into two groups as a result, Percy, Keyleth, and the twins, and then Grog and the gnomes and the other, the bigs and smalls, as dubbed by Scanlan. They will head to the south, and the other group will head to the east. Vex takes some of the dust of tracelessness from Grog, and Percy tells them all to meet toward the western wall of Whitestone when they're done. Grog carries the gnomes on his shoulders and feels that Pike is lighter than normal, and her presence does have a slight vibration to it. He charges to the bottom of the town square, passing by several streets before seeing another patch of skeletons to the left fighting against villagers. Several bodies of villagers lie on the ground, one of which is still alive and dragging himself toward them and calling for help. As Grog approaches with the gnomes, they see that he is gravely injured, and Grog lowers Pike to the ground, and she begins to cast Cure Wounds, but the man mistakes her as an angel and says, "No, no, no, not yet." She holds the sides of his face and smiles down at him, but does close his wounds, and since he is now healed, he does call her an angel, and Pike tries to deny it, but the man reaches forward and thanks her as she helps him to his feet. Grog tells the man, "Run now," but he does not. He says, "I intend to," and grabs his sword and runs back to the fight with a battle cry. And Grog says, "I like him." Placing Pike back on his shoulder, they continue charging southward. They pass several more streets and they hear the sound of a large, heavy mass hitting the ground. As they turn the corner, they see three rebels standing alone against a giant with a pile of wounded or killed villagers around them. The giant is nearly untouched and seems to have caught the villagers unprepared. So Scanlan jumps off Grog's shoulder, pulls out his wand of magic missiles, and fires 8 darts at the giant. Scanlan then runs to the alcove of a building to his left and inspires Grog with a Taylor Swift Bad Blood parody. It was pretty good. Grog goes into a frenzied rage and rushes at the stone giant, slamming his warhammer into its leg, destroying the entire bottom half of it. The giant strikes Grog twice with its club. Then the 3 members of the resistance run up to stab it again. Pike holds her holy symbol and casts Guiding Bolt. Then Grog swings his hammer 3 times to take the giant's jaw off entirely, sending it flying down the street. Scanlan runs up and fires a lightning bolt up at it, this time aiming through his backside, and then turns to Pike and inspires her. The giant limps over to Scanlan, taking an attack from one of the citizens in the process. As it raises its club to strike, Scanlan does cast Cutting Words, but it doesn't work, and the giant hits him instead and damages his schwam, I think is how you pronounce that. It raises its club again, but Scanlan ducks down to fix his schwam, and the club passes over his head. The civilians attack, 1 misses, 2 hits. Using her sprinter's boots, Pike runs around to the back of the giant, slams her Mace of Disruption into it, then leaps onto one of its knees, jumps into the air, drops her shield, and slams the mace into the front of its chest. The torso rips open and the body disintegrates. Pike lands perfectly, picking up her shield, and looks over at Grog and Scanlan faints. One of the rebels asks who they are, and Grog says, "We're the deliverers of this town. Go, spread the word. It all comes down tonight." The soldier asks, "You're with the Derolos?" And Grog confirms, we're with the Derolos." The soldier thanks them, and Scanlan says, "Prepare, wait for our signal, spread the word." The soldiers agree and pull their wounded friends to their feet, then move the corpses of the others off to the sides of the road, using torches to set the bodies aflame. Grog, Pike, and Scanlan head for the western wall to meet up with the other group, and Scanlan keeps an eye out for any sort of beret or other hat, as one in a rebellion is wont to do. The other group, Percy, Keyleth, Vex, and Vax, rush past the town square and meet a giant just outside the city near the Temple of Palor. The giant has been pushed back by the civilians and is swinging at them with a large metallic weapon. Vax goes stealth, and Vex places her hunter's mark on the giant when she is within range. The party runs in through the gates of the graveyard and sees that all of the graves have been disturbed. They get a feeling that this is where a lot of the undead have come from, although someone has had to have given them some weapons and armor to prepare them for this. 6 guards are remaining, fighting back against the giant and pushing it toward the temple. Vax splits off from the group and approaches the conflict from the side. Vex leaps off Trinket's back as they get close. Percy pulls out Bad News and fires at the giant's hand, blowing 2 of the fingers off and causing it to drop its weapon. He fires the second shot into its legs. The giant grabs a big piece of stone rubble from the temple and throws it toward Percy, actually knocking him off his feet and pinning him under the rubble, but he does manage to shove it off. Using her whisper earring, Vex asks her brother if he remembers the giant they fought a few years before. He says he does. So Vex shoots 2 arrows, one into the giant's knee and one into its chest. Vax dashes toward the giant and uses the flame protruding from its chest to pull himself onto the giant's shoulders. And he stabs with his flame tongue dagger into the center of its skull and uses his weight to tear the blade down its face. And the rebels use the opening to stab their spears again. Keyleth casts heat metal on Vax's daggers in an attempt to help him deal more damage, but he ends up dropping them into the mud as they burn his hands because they are now hot metal. Vex turns to Keyleth and says, "What the fuck?" Not noticing, Keyleth uses a grasping vine to grapple the giant and pull it downward. Percy gets back to his feet and shoots the giant in the face using his action surge. He fires 2 more, and then he uses second wind to recover some health. The giant picks up its morning star and swings it toward Vax unsuccessfully. Bracing himself, Vax reaches down and picks up his still hot daggers, further burning his hands in the process, and slices both down the front of the giant's body. Then Vex fires an arrow with her blazing bowstring, killing it off. Vax then sticks his hands in a puddle to soothe the burns, and Vex and Trinket run up toward the guards. Keyleth sees what Vax is doing and is really confused, and he holds his burnt hands out and asks Keyleth to fix them. She is immediately apologetic and casts Cure Wounds on them, and Vax holds her hands as she does so, but Vex does walk between them, breaking their connection as she goes to talk to the guards. Percy puts his guns away and follows her. The guards are stabbing into the falling body of the giant to make sure that it's dead, although they are wearing guard armor underneath. They are dressed more like farmers. Vex puts a hand on the shoulder of one of them and tells them that they showed great bravery and to rest up and heal and get ready to attack tomorrow. She tells them, "Tomorrow at dawn, we take the castle." As they leave, Keyleth tells them to keep watch for the sign of Palor in the sky, and 3 of the guards run back to the temple and give a silent prayer before rejoining their companions and heading back to the city. Vax investigates a few of the open graves and sees that the coffins are still present but have all been opened, the lids taken off, and the bodies are missing from them, as expected. They find an ornamental dagger, and Vex encourages Vax to get it, but it appears to be purely ornamental, so he returns the dagger back to its place and climbs out of the grave. Keyleth looks to see if there's anything she can harvest from the giant body, but everything is far too rotted to be of any use. The party decides to head west to meet up with their companions, and Vex takes out a bit of the dust of tracelessness she received from Grog, but finds that it has turned to plain sand. Apparently, its magical properties only apply when it's fresh out of the bag. So together, Vex and Percy manage to lead the group on a path that reduces the tracks they leave. So, what do we think of this first half?
I love this episode for a couple of reasons.
It's a good one.
Um, at least one of which is that I love Pike.
Mhm.
I Ashley is one of my favorite players in this crew, just consistently, and getting her to play, especially at this stage when she gets so excited to be able to participate at all, is
Yeah.
just it's lovely, and it's such good vibes for a very dark episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so Ashley's here, which makes me happy, but also I love playing clerics. It is
Yeah.
by far my favorite class to play myself, and this is just a master class in like their wildly effective use in this kind of scenario. And I just love watching Ashley have so much success when she is so flustered by being able to play after such a break. And it's in spite of all of the zombies and the vampires and the fact that they are fighting for their lives, it's such a feel good episode to me. Like
Mhm.
it's fun to watch because it's a heroic story in the best way, and Ashley's there. So I'm very happy with this episode. I love it.
I think Pike is the equalizer of the group.
Hmm.
She's the palate
Yeah.
cleanser, she's the mood lightener. Like, I feel like Scanlan can play that role, but it comes off more as, I don't know if I want to say smarmy, but it comes off a little more unpure, I guess would be a good way to phrase that, than the way that Pike brings it to the table.
Yeah. And I think we've talked about this a little before in some of the episodes that she was able to pop in for. But she just balances out the crew so much that the fighting and nitpicking of like, what do we do next and how do we make decisions kind of melts away
Yeah.
because she just has that effect on the crew of making them follow their consciences a little bit better, and it kind of soothes the pieces of them that rub against keyless morality, and it makes them less concerned about saving themselves because they
Mm,
have this safety net now. And
mm.
between all of that, it just comes together to make a much more cohesive group, and it's a lot more fun to watch that way, honestly.
I mean, isn't that ironic that we're talking about cohesion when they literally split the party this first half?
Yes. But they're not fighting.
Yeah,
They're not fighting it within themselves. They
yeah,
are fighting.
yeah.
But yeah, no, it just I find episode 31 difficult to watch because there's so much back and forth and like this fear of them not being able to stay alive and not being able to achieve their goals. And then Pike comes in and all of that goes away. And it just becomes
Mhm,
so much easier for everybody, including the viewer. Um, and
mhm,
so I really love this episode, especially this first half where it is just them having a good time and having some success for the first time in Whitestone, it feels like.
mhm. Yeah, it is really ironic that we are dealing with such stark dichotomies in this
Mhm.
episode because, like, the stakes are at the highest right now. Like they're literally fighting hordes of skeletons and undead giants at the moment. They split the party at this point. Like you would think that conflict and division would be at its highest at this point in the story. And yet, this is the point where they actually come together.
Yeah. And I think part of why the party split works so well in this instance is that it's a defined goal and it's not it's the easiest way to accomplish what they're doing, but it's not out of like desperation.
Hmm.
It's just a means to an end here. And a lot of times when we see the party split, it's because they are out of options and out of ideas, and it is kind of their Hail Mary. And it's not a Hail Mary here, it's just efficient and the best way to spend their time. So it's not as stressful as it could be and probably should be.
I mean, if you just contrast it to the conversation that they were having in the previous episode of like whether they could even be capable of taking out the
Mm-hmm.
giants in their current state, like so many of them were just like, we're tapped, we're out, we can't take on giants right now. Like, what are you even thinking? And then, like, what? And short rest later, they're like, yeah, let's split the party and take out two giants at the same time. Like it
Yeah.
really goes to show you how much of a mental and emotional game it can be
Mm-hmm.
when you're put into these moments of pressure.
Yeah. And having that safety net makes you take a lot more chances. Like
Hmm.
they have Pike, they have a healer now. And they have somebody who is full of spell slots. There is one of them that they know can keep going. Even if everybody else is tapped out and drained. And that changes everything.
Hmm.
Just the entire game flips on its head as soon as they have one more person and a person with spell slots who can pull them back.
Yeah. One person can make a difference,
Mm-hmm.
and the mental attitude can make a difference as
Yeah.
well. And I think that that's such a powerful lesson in this first half.
Yeah. It's really it's kind of the lesson of this whole campaign if we're really thinking about it.
Oh, girl, yeah.
Um
Lesson of my life.
yeah, but it's such a tight, compact, like little fable, I guess, of just like this is exactly what it looks like when one person changes everything, not just for the party, but for the entire town.
The entire world.
Yeah.
Once we get late into the campaign, man, like one person's decision, even like one person's one action
Mm-hmm.
can change so much.
Yeah.
Like I
Everything can hinge on a single spell.
absolutely a single phrase, a single word, a single
Mm-hmm.
action, a single decision. I was talking to someone the other day about chaos theory. Like it just makes me think of that because the whole concept of chaos theory is that like such a small action, a small behavior, a small movement in the world can just exponentially grow to something huge. Like the butterfly flapping its wings in Mexico can lead to a hurricane, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And I think that I mean, we can call Pike the butterfly here.
It's kind of adorable. Pike the butterfly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Any personal experiences that come to mind for you?
I think that it's very similar to kind of what you were saying about, one person can have a huge effect of
Mhm.
um long story short, I've got this massive overwhelming project at work and it is complete chaos and there are entirely too many people involved and half the time it's just everybody panicking and having one person come in and say take it step by step and just think through it a little bit at a time. And my coworker who is this very logical person and likes to take things very seriously, decided that we all needed a break and brought in pizza for everybody the other day, just completely out of the blue, and was like, here, we're not going to work today. We're going to have a pizza party. And it kind of felt like elementary school, but it also felt so good of just that moment of relief. And that one person who decided to make things better made a huge difference in everybody's approach to this ridiculous project.
Hmm.
And it was so welcome and so kind and it
Hmm.
just made everything easier for everybody
Hmm.
and it was an incredible gesture and it feels very much like what Pike was able to do in this episode of just provide a little bit of breathing room, a little bit of space and just let people relax into it and make things feel more possible.
Hmm. I love that. I love that. Yeah, I mean, I've had a really big theme so far this year and just trying to be able to approach each moment, each decision with novelty and creativity and
Mm.
just being like, all right, I'm just focusing on this moment. And the next moment, I'll focus on that. And we'll just take it moment by moment at the time. Because I do get stuck in focusing too much on the future or the past, alternatively, of just spending too much time outside of the present moment. I know that's a cliche, is like, the only now is now, but it's really hard in practice.
It is. It's
And
very hard.
I'm currently also working on a project where I have to be completely in the moment. I can't be worrying about 5 minutes from now. I can't be worrying about 5 minutes ago. I have to worry about the moment that I'm in and do the best that I'm in the moment that I'm in. And like once that's over, it's over. I can't dwell on the past moment. Whether I failed or succeeded doesn't matter. So it's been quite a challenging exercise, I have to say. Like, I feel like Sisyphus almost at the end of the day of just like pushing this boulder up. And like each time I pushed up, I just have to do the best job I can at pushing this fucking boulder up the mountain. And then it falls back down. And I'm like, well, let's go do it again.
Yeah,
uh,
that adds up.
yeah. And it adds up. And I'm exhausted. And I hit burnout last week, as we were talking about before we started recording. And um it's just interesting. Like I kind of need a Pike in my life.
We all could use Pike.
Yeah, I need someone to come in and be like, yes, here's your proverbial pizza party. And be like, pat me on the head, wrap me in a blanket, and be like, good job.
Yeah. We all need somebody to take care of us once in a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah, exactly. Because the dirty dishes in my sink certainly are not going to do that for me.
Fair enough.
The pile of laundry that's been staring at me all week is not going to do that for me. So, yeah, we definitely need those balancers, equalizers, whatever you want to call it, the palate cleansers to balance things out when we need it.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, what are we going to do about it?
I think the easiest thing to come out of this is to try to be Pike once in a while. If you
Mm,
see somebody struggling, take a minute and try to be Pike. Try to be the
yeah.
supportive person for a minute. And, that can be a super small gesture or it can be a big thing. It doesn't matter. But watching out for the people around you who are struggling and trying to be Pike for them once in a while.
Mm.
And give them a support structure they might need in the moment.
Yeah, I was actually thinking a lot about that before we even jumped on. There's a particular person in my life where like I know they need support at the moment, and so I'm just like, I need to reach out to them. I need to be the Pike in their life and be like,
Yeah.
unburden yourself. Like, let's just clear the table for you because it's obviously a lot at the moment.
Yeah. It's not always the easiest thing to be Pike for somebody, but it's so worth it and it can really change things for people. So my
Mhm.
goal is to somehow find a way to be Pike for somebody in the next week or so and just
Mm.
all of that. Just remember to be Pike.
Hashtag goals.
Yeah.
Well, anything else you want to add before we start wrapping up?
I don't think so. As much as I love this episode, it really is a lot of combat and a lot of Pike.
Yes, it's mostly combat. And there like are
Yeah.
very cute little moments like tucked into the
Yeah.
combat. Like we saw some good shipping moments. It like
Yeah.
seeds planted in here, but we'll have plenty of time to talk about those later.
Yep, we will.
But yeah, it was all combat. So we could overanalyze each of their combat moves and stuff like that. But I would rather talk about the lesson of Pike more so than anything else.
Much more fun that way.
Hmm. Well, this is powerful stuff, powerful lessons that we're talking about here. And audience, we definitely encourage you to share your own insights and thoughts and feelings as well. We'd love to know how Critical Role episodes like these have impacted you in your own lives. Special thanks to Atlas for joining me on this episode. It's been a pleasure.
Always happy to be here.
So next time we'll be discussing Campaign 1, Episode 32, Part 2. And joining me will be Atlas again. So I'm excited for that. And as always, I'm looking for more co-hosts and guests. So if you're interested, just hit me up. I'll send you the link. In the meantime, please comment, like, subscribe below, follow us on Tumblr at Sacred Eating CR for all the juicy updates. And until next time, may all beings be peaceful, may all beings be free, and be the chaotic good you wish to see in the world. Take care, guys.
Bye.